The breaking point, the stellar convergence station, hung in space like a crystal jewel. It orbited a dead star that marked the neutral zone between two vast empires. Commander Marcus Webb stood at the observation window and watched warships gather in the darkness. There were hundreds of them. Soon there would be thousands. In 48 hours they would start killing each other, and they would not stop until one side was completely destroyed. Marcus was 52 years old. He had gray hair and tired eyes. He wore the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. He did not look like someone who could stop a war. He did not feel like it either. Behind him, the conference chamber buzzed with desperate activity. Diplomats from 50 different species argued and pleaded and threatened. They had been doing this for 3 weeks. Nothing had worked. Nothing was going to work. Marcus knew this because he had studied the problem carefully. This was not a normal war. This was something much worse. The two empires preparing to fight were called the Velkari Unity and the Iron Sovereignty. They had both existed for thousands of years. They had both built civilizations that spanned hundreds of star systems. They had both reached the limits of their expansion. Now they both wanted the same thing. The Nexus Belt was a region of space filled with a rare element called Chromium-7. This element was necessary for advanced faster-than-light travel. Without it, both empires would slowly decline. Their ships would fail. Their trade routes would collapse. Their civilizations would crumble over the next century. With it, they could continue to thrive for another 1,000 years. The problem was simple. There was only enough Chromium-7 in the Nexus Belt to supply one empire, not both. Marcus turned away from the window. He walked through the conference chamber. Around him, alien beings of every shape and size tried to find a solution. The crystalline chorus, beings made of living sound, sang proposals in harmonic frequencies. The gravity weavers, creatures that existed in higher dimensions, offered to restructure space-time itself. The ancient archivists, the oldest known species in the galaxy, presented historical precedents from 10,000 years of galactic history. None of it mattered. Marcus had learned something important over the past 3 weeks. He had learned that every species in the galaxy was trapped by its own nature. The Velkari Unity was a telepathic collective. Each Velkari individual was connected to millions of others through a shared consciousness. They experienced thoughts and emotions together. They made decisions through complete mental consensus. This gave them incredible advantages. They never misunderstood each other. They never lied. They never betrayed each other. But it also gave them one fatal weakness. The Velkari could not understand deception. They could not conceive of saying one thing while meaning another. When they claimed the Nexus Belt, they did so with complete sincerity. Every single Velkari believed with absolute certainty that the belt belonged to them. They had found it first. They had surveyed it first. They had declared their intention to mine it first. In their minds, this made it theirs. Any other conclusion was impossible. The Iron Sovereignty was completely different. They were a species that had enhanced their bodies with technology. Every member of the Sovereignty had machine parts integrated into their organic flesh. Some had replaced their arms with powerful weapons. Others had replaced their eyes with advanced sensors. A few had replaced their entire bodies, keeping only their brains in armored shells. This made them incredibly strong. But it also shaped their culture in a specific way. The Sovereignty believed in strength above all else. To them, backing down from a claim meant admitting weakness. Admitting weakness meant inviting attack. Inviting attack meant extinction. They had learned this lesson over millions of years of evolution. Species that showed weakness died. Only the strong survived. So when they claimed the Nexus Belt, they did so with complete commitment. Their calculations showed they had arrived at the belt's coordinates first, even if by only 3 days. Their laws stated that first arrival meant ownership. They would rather die than break their own laws. Marcus understood both sides. That was why he knew traditional diplomacy would not work. The other diplomats did not understand this. They kept proposing compromises. Share the belt, divide it in half, take turns mining it, create a joint venture. Every proposal was rejected immediately. The Velkari could not accept sharing something they believed was completely theirs. Their telepathic unity made compromise feel like self-betrayal. The Sovereignty could not accept anything less than full control. Their cultural programming made retreat equivalent to death. Marcus reached his private chamber. It was a small room with a desk and a bed. On the desk sat a portable computer containing everything he had learned about both species. He sat down and began reviewing the data again. He was looking for something. He did not know what. He only knew it had to be there. Humans had only joined the galactic community 40 years ago. Before that, Earth had been alone. Humans had no telepathy like the Velkari. Humans had no cultural unity like the sovereignty. Humans were weak compared to most species. Human technology was primitive. Human lifespans were short. But humans had something else, something that Marcus was beginning to understand. His computer chimed. A message appeared. It was from Admiral Sarah Chen, the commander of Earth's small fleet. The fleet was positioned far from the conflict zone. Earth had no stake in this war. Humans were too new, too weak to matter. But Sarah wanted Marcus to know something. She wrote that Earth's government was preparing evacuation plans. If the war started, it would not stay contained. The Velkari unity and Iron sovereignty together controlled half the galaxy. Their defense pacts and trade agreements connected them to dozens of other empires. Within a week of fighting, 30 species would be drawn into the conflict. Within a month, every major power in the galaxy would have to choose sides. Human space sat directly between two major trade routes. When the war came, Earth would be in the crossfire. Marcus closed the message. He stood up and walked back to the observation window. The warships were closer now. He could see their running lights. Red for the Valkyrie, blue for the sovereignty. Beautiful colors for such an ugly purpose. He watched the ships maneuver into position. Captains were following orders. Crews were preparing weapons. Soldiers were making peace with their gods. Everyone was doing exactly what their nature told them to do. And that was the problem. A sound behind him made Marcus turn. 3 figures entered the chamber. The first was Velkari. Its name was Harmony of 7,000. It looked almost human with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, but its skin was translucent. Beneath the skin, Marcus could see lights moving. These lights were thoughts traveling through neural pathways enhanced by organic circuitry. The Velkari spoke without opening its mouth. Its voice appeared directly in Marcus's mind, translated by implants in his skull. Commander Webb. The Unity has reached consensus. We will not withdraw our claim. We cannot, it would break our harmony. Every Velkari would feel the dissonance. Some might die from the psychological trauma. We would rather fight. The second figure was from the Iron Sovereignty. Its designation was War Captain Krax. It was 3 meters tall. Its body was more machine than flesh. Weapons covered its arms. Armor plated its chest. Its eyes glowed with red sensors. It spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. Commander Webb. The Sovereignty has calculated all possible outcomes. Fighting gives us a 51% chance of victory. Retreating gives us a 100% chance of eventual extinction. The choice is clear. We will not withdraw. We will claim the Nexus Belt. We will destroy anyone who opposes us. The third figure was human. Ambassador Patricia Flores was Marcus's official superior. She was 60 years old and had been a diplomat for 35 years. She had negotiated trade deals and peace treaties across dozens of worlds. She was respected throughout the galaxy. She looked exhausted. She spoke quietly. Marcus, I've tried everything. The Galactic Council has tried everything. We're out of time. In 48 hours, the fleets will engage. We need to evacuate this station. We need to get all non-military personnel to safety. The Council is preparing to invoke the Sanctuary Protocols. Any species that wants to stay neutral can do so. But they must leave the conflict zone immediately. Marcus looked at all 3 of them. Harmony of 7,000 with its unified consciousness. War Captain Krax with its calculating logic. Ambassador Flores with her diplomatic experience. All of them were good beings. All of them wanted peace. All of them were trapped. Trapped by biology, trapped by culture, trapped by millions of years of evolution. He realized something in that moment. Every species in the galaxy had evolved to survive in specific ways. The Velkari had evolved telepathy because cooperation was their survival strategy. The Sovereignty had evolved strength because dominance was their survival strategy. Every other species had its own evolutionary path, and every path had created blind spots. Through the observation window, the warships began moving into attack formations. The red lights and blue lights swirled through the darkness like angry stars. Marcus watched them come together. He had 48 hours. It was not enough time. It would have to be enough anyway, because if he failed, billions would die, and humanity's first major contribution to galactic civilization, would be watching helplessly as everything burned. Marcus turned away from the window. He looked at Harmony of 7000 and War Captain Krax. "I need to speak with your leaders. Both of them. Separately. And I need you to promise me something. Promise me that you'll listen to what I have to say, even if it sounds impossible, even if it contradicts everything you know. Can you promise me that?" The two alien beings looked at each other. Then they looked at Marcus. They saw a small human in a simple uniform. They saw a species that was weak and new to the galaxy. They saw someone who had no business trying to stop a war between ancient empires. But they also saw something else. They saw determination. They saw creativity. They saw hope. "We promise," they both said. Marcus nodded. The timer showed 47 hours and 52 minutes until war. He had no plan. He had no solution. He only had an idea that might work if he could make both sides see what humans saw. He had to make them understand that the universe was bigger than their evolutionary programming. He had to teach ancient civilizations a lesson that humans had learned over and over again on Earth. Sometimes the only way to win was to change what winning meant. The clock was ticking. The fleets were gathering, and one human was about to attempt the impossible. The silence that saved everything. Marcus Webb did not sleep that night. He sat in his chamber staring at screens filled with data. Human history scrolled past his eyes. Treaties, negotiations, conflicts, solutions. He was looking for patterns. More specifically, he was looking for moments when humans had solved problems that seemed impossible. He found hundreds of examples. The Cuban Missile Crisis, the Camp David Accords, the Antarctic Treaty, the climate summits. Again and again, humans had stood at the edge of disaster and found a way back. What made it possible? Marcus asked himself this question over and over. The answer was always the same. Humans could hold contradictory ideas in their minds at the same time. A human could believe something was theirs while also accepting it might belong to someone else. A human could value strength while also choosing to appear weak strategically. Humans lied, but humans also trusted. Humans competed, but humans also cooperated. This flexibility, this contradiction, this mess of competing thoughts was humanity's secret weapon. Other species saw it as weakness. Marcus was beginning to see it as something else entirely. At 600 hours, Marcus received his first visitor. Harmony of 7000 entered his chamber. The Velkhari's translucent skin showed swirling patterns of blue and green light. These colors meant curiosity mixed with concern. The telepathic being spoke directly into Marcus's mind. "Commander Webb, you asked to speak with our leadership. I am here as their representative. 7,000 Velkhari minds are currently linked through me. When you speak to me, you speak to all of them. What is it you wish to say?" Marcus stood up. He had prepared for this moment. He gestured for the alien to sit, though Velkhari preferred to stand. "I need you to understand something about humans. We are not like you. Our minds are not linked. Each human thinks alone. This seems like weakness to you. You believe unity is strength. But I want to show you what isolation creates." Harmony of 7000's lights flickered. "We know about human minds. You are fragmented, disconnected, alone. How can this help us?" "Because being alone means we learn to lie," Marcus said. "Not to hurt others, but to survive. A human child learns early that thoughts and words do not have to match. I can think one thing and say another. I can promise something I do not intend to deliver. I can pretend to be weak when I am strong, or strong when I am weak. Every human is trained in deception from birth." The Velkhari recoiled. Its lights flashed red, showing disgust. "This is exactly why humans are primitive. Truth is the foundation of civilization. Without truth, how can anyone trust anything?" Marcus smiled. "That's the point. Humans don't always trust each other, but we've learned to build systems that work even without trust. We create contracts. We establish neutral observers. We design verification methods. We built an entire civilization on the assumption that people might lie. And because of that, we've learned something you never needed to learn." "What is that?" "We learned that truth is negotiable," Marcus said. "Not the physical truth, not facts, but social truth. The truth of ownership, of rights, of claims. These truths are stories we tell ourselves, and stories can be rewritten." Harmony of 7000 stood silent for a long moment. Marcus could sense the being consulting with the thousands of minds linked to it. Finally it spoke. "The Unity cannot accept this. The Nexus Belt is ours. This is not a story. This is truth. We found it first, did you? Marcus asked. Or is that just what you remember? Memory is not perfect even for telepaths. What if your records are wrong? What if the sovereignty really did arrive first? Would you change your claim? We would not change our claim because our records are not wrong. We were there. We remember it with perfect clarity. Marcus leaned forward. That's exactly my point. You cannot doubt yourselves. Your telepathic unity makes questioning impossible. Once 7,000 minds agree on something, it becomes absolute truth for all of you. But humans doubt everything. We question our own memories. We challenge our own beliefs. This makes us weak in some ways, but strong in others. We can change our minds because we were never fully convinced in the first place. The Valkyrie's light swirled faster, showing confusion and anger. You are asking us to lie, to deny what we know to be true. This would shatter our unity. It would kill us, no, Marcus said quietly. I'm asking you to accept uncertainty. I'm asking you to admit that maybe, just maybe, there is more than one truth. The sovereignty believes they arrived first. You believe you arrived first? What if you're both right? What if the truth is more complicated than either side understands? Harmony of 7,000 started to respond, but Marcus held up his hand. Don't answer now. Think about it. Or rather, feel about it. Let those 7,000 minds explore the possibility. I'm not asking you to change your claim. I'm asking you to consider that your claim and their claim might both be valid at the same time. Can you do that? The Valkyrie stood frozen. Its light stopped moving entirely. This meant it was in deep communication with the unity. Marcus waited. He knew he was asking for something almost impossible. But he also knew that the Valkyrie were not stupid. They were intelligent enough to recognize a new idea when they encountered one. Finally, the lights began moving again. They showed yellow and orange, colors Marcus had not seen before. This concept is disturbing, but not impossible. The unity will consider it. We make no promises. Marcus nodded. That's all I ask. Send me your highest authority at 1400 hours. I will have more to discuss. After the Valkyrie left, Marcus had 2 hours before his next meeting. He used the time to send a message to Earth. He recorded a video for his daughter. She was 23 years old and studying xenopsychology at the Mars Academy. He told her he loved her. He told her he was proud of her. He did not tell her that he might not survive the next 2 days. If this plan failed, the station would be destroyed in the first exchange of fire. But he wanted her to know that he had tried. He wanted her to understand that sometimes trying was all that mattered. At 0900 hours, War Captain Krax entered Marcus's chamber. The massive cyborg had to duck to fit through the door. Its weapons and armor filled the small room with a sense of menace. But Marcus was not afraid. He had studied the sovereignty carefully. Their violence was not random. It was calculated. They killed when it served a purpose, but they did not kill for pleasure. War Captain Krax spoke in its grinding voice. Commander Webb, the sovereignty has agreed to hear you. I carry the combined authority of our war council. Speak. Marcus gestured at a chair, but the cyborg remained standing. I need you to understand something about humans. We are weak. Physically weak. Technologically weak. Compared to you, we are children. But we have survived for hundreds of thousands of years despite this weakness. Do you know how? By hiding. By running. By avoiding conflict with stronger species. Sometimes, Marcus agreed. But not always. Sometimes humans survived by changing the definition of strength. A human warrior is strong, yes. But a human merchant can be stronger. A human artist can be strongest of all. We learned that power takes many forms. Physical dominance is only one type of power. There is also economic power, political power, cultural power, the power of ideas. War Captain Krax's weapons hummed softly. Ideas do not stop bullets. Philosophy does not destroy warships. The sovereignty has learned this lesson across millions of years. Only strength matters. Only victory matters. Everything else is weakness disguised as wisdom. Marcus nodded. I understand your perspective. Your species has survived because you were stronger than your enemies. Every threat you faced was defeated through superior force. This has worked for millions of years. But answer me this. What happens when you face an enemy you cannot defeat? What happens when both sides are equally strong? Then both sides die fighting. Better to die with honor than live in weakness. But what if there was a third option? Marcus asked. What if you could claim victory without fighting? What if you could demonstrate strength by choosing not to destroy your enemy? The cyborg's sensors focused on Marcus. Explain. In human history, we have a concept called strategic ambiguity. It means deliberately keeping your position unclear. You don't say yes and you don't say no. You leave room for multiple interpretations. This seems weak, but it's actually incredibly powerful. It allows both sides to claim victory while avoiding the cost of war. The sovereignty does not accept ambiguity. Our calculations require clear parameters. Unclear positions lead to unclear outcomes. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. The warships were even closer now. He could see their weapon systems charging. Let me tell you a story from human history. Two nations once built nuclear weapons. Each nation had enough weapons to destroy the other completely. They hated each other. They threatened each other. They prepared for war. But they never fought. Do you know why? Because they were cowards. No, because they were smart. They realized that winning the war would cost more than losing the peace. So they created something called mutually assured destruction. Both sides kept their weapons. Both sides stayed ready to fight. But both sides also agreed on certain rules. They communicated through back channels. They established protocols. They found ways to compete without killing each other. It lasted for 50 years. Millions of lives were saved. And do you know the interesting part? War Captain Krax did not respond, so Marcus continued. Both sides claimed victory. One side said they won because they maintained their principles. The other side said they won because they achieved their goals. Both were right. Both were wrong. The truth was somewhere in between. And that ambiguity, that uncertainty, that human flexibility kept the peace. The cyborg processed this information. Marcus could see lights flickering behind its sensor arrays. Finally, it spoke. You are proposing that the sovereignty claim victory without achieving victory. You are proposing that we accept an outcome that our calculations show is suboptimal. Why would we do this? Because your calculations are missing a variable, Marcus said. Your battle computers can predict the outcome of war. But can they predict the outcome of peace? Can they calculate the value of 500 years without fighting? Can they measure the strength demonstrated by choosing not to destroy an enemy you could destroy? No, our systems do not model non-combat outcomes with the same accuracy. Exactly. Your species evolved to fight. Your culture is built on conflict. Your technology is designed for war. You are incredibly good at calculating how to win battles. But you have no experience calculating how to win without fighting. Humans do. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Let me help you find a different kind of victory. War Captain Krax stood silent for a long time. The weapons on its arms powered down slightly. This was the cybernetic equivalent of relaxation. The sovereignty will consider your words. We make no commitments. Send us a formal proposal by 1600 hours. After both meetings, Marcus sat down at his computer and began writing. He was creating something that had never existed before. A diplomatic protocol designed for species that could not compromise. He called it the Silence Protocol. The key was simple but radical. Both sides would stop talking to each other. Instead, they would talk to a third party. That third party would be humanity. Earth would become the administrator of the Nexus Belt. Neither the Velkari nor the sovereignty would own it. Neither would control it. But both would have access to it, Marcus wrote carefully. He knew that every word mattered. The Velkari needed to feel that their truth was acknowledged. The sovereignty needed to feel that their strength was respected. Humans needed to demonstrate value without threatening either side. The proposal had to satisfy all three requirements simultaneously. It took him 8 hours to write 15 pages. At 1400 hours, Marcus met with consensus of 10 million, the highest authority in the Velkari unity. This being contained the linked consciousness of 10 million individual Velkari. When it spoke, entire worlds listened. Marcus presented his proposal. He explained the Silence Protocol. He showed how the Velkari could maintain their truth while accepting human administration. He pointed out that the Unity had never claimed they wanted to mine the Nexus Belt themselves. They had only claimed they found it first. Human administration did not contradict that claim. Consensus of 10 million's lights showed yellow and green, uncertainty and hope. This is acceptable to some of our minds. Others resist. We need time to achieve harmony. At 1600 hours, Marcus met with Supreme Calculator Vrax, the ultimate authority of the Iron Sovereignty. This being was more machine than organic, a brain housed in a fortress of metal and weapons. Marcus presented the same proposal from a different angle. He explained how the sovereignty could claim victory by demonstrating strategic superiority. They would be showing that they were strong enough to choose peace. He pointed out that human administration meant the Velkhari also did not get direct control. Both empires would have equal access, which meant neither side was stronger than the other. Supreme Calculator Vrax processed the data for exactly 3.7 minutes. The mathematics are acceptable. But the War Council must approve. We need time to reach consensus. The next 30 hours were the longest of Marcus's life. Messages flew back and forth between the station and the two empires. Marcus answered questions. He clarified points. He adjusted language. He removed ambiguities that threatened the Velkhari, and added specifics that reassured the sovereignty. He barely ate. He did not